I want to welcome you to the live stream. Happy Friday to you if you're seeing this in real time, and it's recorded on Friday, October the was it 16th? If not, or no, 17th, I think. Let me see. Yep, Friday the 17th. So welcome to you if you're watching it in the replay. In any event, I'm gonna give it a little time, see who comes into the stream, and hopefully we'll have a good discussion tonight. Hope everyone is doing well out here. Hey, Miss Yates, welcome, welcome. She came right on in with a quickness. How you doing, dear? Well, good to see you in here. I'm sorry I couldn't make it on last night. I had a little spiritual business to take care of, and it just left me a little bit zonked. So I thought I'd just take it off. I mean, I'm doing okay, but it was just something that needed tending to. And by the time I got done, I just did not have the juice left. It was some personal work that needed to be taken care of, but I didn't have enough left to be reading for the collective. So I figured I'd just rest and get back in here today. So I appreciate your patience. But it was important. So, a friend in need and all that. Hey Daisy Duke, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Just trying to give folks for a little bit. It's good seeing you in here too. And oh man, I forgot to, you know what? That's terrible. I got so caught up in what I was doing last night, I forgot that I was supposed to do a card pull for you one on one, but I'll get that to your inbox. I'll look at the question. Maybe even after this, I might do it and just put it in here later tonight. So whenever you get up in the morning, it'll be there, hopefully. Because it shouldn't take too long. I just forgot about it. Sorry. But this evening. Now, this ain't something. It's probably not going to be a near and dear subject for everybody else, but I was tripping so hard. I thought I was going to watch a video today to discuss in the live stream tonight, and instead, I wound up going to I forgot. I think it's JW Insights or JW, whatever it is. It's a guy that used to be a JW, and he has a site. And I got caught up in watching some of that foolishness, and I was just tripping. Oh my God. He winds up taking like snippets from some of their annual meetings and things like that. So every time Stephen Lett, which is one of their governing body members, he started talking, he look and sound like a Muppet. And I'm like, it's so if you've never gotten a chance to hear some of these people talk, it's hilarious. Find Lloyd Evans or JW. I cannot. Mm, either JW response. His at is at X Jehovah's Witness. You can find his channel. His name is Wally, and he's funny as hell. Hey, Paul Snowcloud. But he was talking about Stephen Lett, and I now that well, he wasn't in charge when I was there. That was years ago, but I'm like, how anybody could listen to this man and take him seriously is beyond me. You have to be like mentally brainwashed, programmed, whatever you want to call it, to actually hear that man and listen to him with respect to anything he says. He over emotes and talks with his mouth really wide like this, and he's just talking in that upspeak, that one that's so annoying all the time, and talking so very condescendingly to people. I'm like, oh my God. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, if you want some entertainment, go watch that. But thankfully, you won't have to watch the whole thing. It is commentary because the guy that has the channel is completely he's so over them. But the thing that got me was they're changing their policy on shunning. And I had to stop myself. I'm like, you know what? I got the devil in me. Part of me is tempted to go get reinstated just so I can go and talk about this in the congregation. Oh, they throw me back out again for real, big time, fast, in a hurry. But Yeah, but now their rules about shunning and stuff, they're completely changing everything. And I'm like, yeah, because they losing members. Hey, Tree or Tree Dot, how are you? Welcome in. So that's why I say I know it would only be funny to me because I am an ex-JW as well, but it was just, that's where I spent my afternoon tripping on. Hey, Cece, I'm sorry I didn't see you scoot on in there first. I missed that part. Cece and Tree and Paul and Miss Yates and there's somebody else too. Oh, Daisy. Yeah, Daisy popped in here too. So yay, yay. So what we gonna talk about today, y'all? Ooh, tips as far as posting content. Do it. Honestly, whatever your niche is, just do it. Even when you don't feel like it. Now I'm sitting over here giving you advice that I don't always take, but I mean, and when you get ready to start live streaming, don't let the trolls get you down because it don't matter what you talking about. You could be in there giving away free money and there still be somebody in there talking trash to you and talking down to you and everything else. So ignore the trolls. They're sad, pitiful people that really don't have no life and they want to spread their misery, but do not let them do it. You keep going. That would be my advice to you. Post that content and do not give up regardless. Virality is probably not going to happen as fast as they, because we watch these videos of create content creators making it seem so easy, like you're going to post your first 10 videos and then all of a sudden you're going to go viral. That rarely happens for people. It's like 100 million YouTube channels literally. So don't plan on going viral, plan on going to playing the long game. Okay. Yeah, you and my, honestly, I didn't touch anything. You were saying that you will remove you. I think something happened when you changed your phone number because I have not touched anything on this computer since we talked about that. Now, Jamrock, we're going to ignore you. I'm going to say hello so you know I'm not blind, but if you continue to spam, you'll be made quiet. If you just want to be insulting, I don't care nothing about that. But I'm not going to entertain you, so just be quiet or be gone. Okay? You said don't misuse the power. Yeah. Uh anyway, Goofy. Alice Lovejoy. I didn't know there was an age limit on an eyebrow ring. I had it pierced when I was in my 20s, so if I choose to still put something in it and it's open, I can do that. And I'm glad to be here still, however old I am. And I guarantee you, whatever my age is, I probably still look younger than you. So who's goofy now? Alice Lovejoy. Goodbye. You say you're 12, you're focusing on marble runs. I guarantee you I'm not bald, but even again, even if I were, there's at least two young ladies that I can think of right now on YouTube don't have one hair on their head between them and they're still beautiful and got millions of subscribers. How many you got, Alice Lovejoy? Bald don't stop nobody from creating content. You 50 and probably look 75 right now. I'm 57 years old and I'm proud of how I look. So whatever, Alice. You would think at 50 you'd have better sense than to come up in somebody's live stream insulting people for no reason. I do so happen to have two braids, cornrows right now, but I got enough hair to cornrow and I choose to put it up in a protective style when I choose to. No, the color purple, she didn't wear two cornrows. She had little plaits everywhere. But however I choose to wear my hair, it's mine. How miserable of a human being do you have to be to go and attack a stranger about their natural hair? That part. I do wear my own hair, but I also choose to cover it because I got a wrap and I can do that if I choose to. I'm not wearing no weave. That is attacking somebody. First, she said I look like I'm 2,000 years old, talked about the fact that I got an eyebrow ring in, and then said I'm bald, even though she's never seen us. I don't have to prove nothing to you. The folks that are regulars on this channel have seen my hair and told me it was beautiful. Again, you 50 years old acting like a fool. You're an ass. That's what you are, Alice. Should have called you assless because you act a pure ass. You don't know me from Adam, and you're coming into somebody's live stream and ain't got nothing better to do than to talk about physical properties. Craziness. See what I mean? No tree. This is a perfect example. And again, I'm only entertaining. Oh Lord, my moderators don't like this stuff, so they quick to get rid of them. I honestly don't care one way or the other. But tree, do understand now. People may be a little kinder to you because you're a minor right now, but when you get older, they're brutal because they're miserable people. They don't have nothing better to do. They really don't. They want to share their pain because they are traumatized, damaged individuals with very low intellect. Because here's the thing, real people with real lives that's got anything going for them don't do that to people. They just don't. I've never heard anybody that really had their life together jump into anybody's live stream and just start talking crap to them. It's low mentality people that don't have nothing going for themselves. You don't know what we're talking about. If I didn't ask Tree to leave, you don't have no right to tell Tree to leave. I'm not discussing anything that he or she cannot be here and discuss. That part, Jamrock, you should mind your business. And it's sad that the 12-year-old is acting more mature than you are. That's what's sad, for real. A 12-year-old just showed you up. You 50 here. No, the other one, Alice, was 50 and acting a fool. And I don't know how old you are. I don't talk about crazy alien stuff and nonsense. I read directly out the Bible and directly out of translated ancient texts. So the very fact that you're sitting here talking about is crazy alien stuff, that's a you problem. That ain't nothing that Tree can't hear. She need to know because crazy deluded people like you would sit there and misdirect that child and feed her mind full of religious bullshit and claptrap. That's the nonsense. I'm teaching the truth. And I'm doing it for the next generation because I know old heads like you, this about two brain cells away from dementia, can't comprehend what I'm talking about. But the next generation can. That part. Let them ride, CC. They all right. They'll be all right. Maybe they stick around long enough and be quiet. They might learn something. Does anybody have a question or want to let's get off on some of the crazy alien stuff and get on a good conversation? Because I'm ready. If you got any questions or we can talk about something, we can go. If you want to get in Leviticus and talk about the Israelites, we could wherever y'all want to go in the conversation. Hey, environment, welcome, welcome. Have I played popular games before? I really don't do a lot of gaming. I'm kind of old school on the game thing. The way my neurodivergence is set up, certain game. I'm more of I do like puzzle games, and some of the older games, things like deductive reasoning, Minesweeper, uh, the shopping games, and things like that on my phone. But like the RPG games, there's something about the the spatial disconnect between trying to locate the objects on the map and then translating that into the it messes with my hand eye coordination and it makes me very anxious. I have played Candy Crush, but even those, a lot of those type games, I'll get to match three games and I'll get, 100, 200, 300 levels in. But invariably, all of them get to a point in the game where they start giving you basically impossible levels to do or damn near impossible. They'll take you, it's designed to force you to buy stuff And I just really don't want to be buying a lot of extra stuff in those games. So occasionally I might buy something just to support the game, but I'm not going to stay doing that. And if I get too frustrated, it's just a game. Before I start spending crazy money buying accessories for a game that's frustrating me, I'll delete it. Hey, Niana, I'm sorry I missed you, honey. Welcome in, welcome in. But yeah, I've right now I'm trying to think what games I have. I've got, like I said, I got a shopping game on my phone. I mean, on my tablet right now. Freestyle is something I do every day because, truthfully, they've actually shown, especially at my age, doing those kinds of games or word puzzles is good to keep older minds active. And I mean, I'm not a senior yet, but I really like to keep my reaction times up to make sure that I keep my puzzle time under like a dollar, I mean, under a couple minutes. What does it mean when a person experiences multiple chills in a row, almost feels out of body? It depends on what causes it. If you're experiencing chills and it's not cold, it could be, receiving some kind of energy. Sometimes I call, instead of goosebumps, I call them like angel bumps, when you get like a real confirmation and feel like something ran through you. Because that happens to me sometimes, like when I'm reading, or I'll get a real strong confirmation and I wasn't particularly cold. It's not, chilly or whatever, but then all of a sudden my scalp is tingly or whatever. Sometimes I think it is a flow of energy or displacement of energy when spirit is present. I've had now pay attention too, because it is, it's like I said, sometimes it's like your angels and stuff. If you're somewhere and all of a sudden you're experiencing cold passing by you when it really wasn't there, now that genuinely could be a previously embodied spirit. There's a difference in the energy the angels hold and the energy that um, our passed on loved ones hold. It can be a little different. Are you getting some of that though recently, Miss Yates? I strongly suspect a lot of us in the soul family are going to start having more and more experiences. The veil is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. It's just about non existent these days. When it happens, you're thinking of the dream life you're wanting to live in your head. Oh, spirit is confirming you that, look. And here's the thing, I've had people ask me so many times about meditation, and there's different styles of meditation. There's um there's a lot of different things we can do, but when you are in a position of doing like active daydreaming, you're thinking about the life you want in your head. Get as detailed as you possibly can and try to embrace the feeling of being in there. Don't just physically see what that place would look like. Try to feel like what it would feel like to put yourself in that environment. Be in that house. Fully decorate the room down to the accessories. What color are the walls going to be? What color are the sheets on the bed? Are they 1500, thread count Egyptian cotton? Are they silk? Are they whatever they are? Is there carpet? Is there hardwood? Get as detailed as you can be, because you are playing in your vortex. You are dialing up. Years ago now, young folks may not remember this, but the old heads in this group will remember. Remember back in the day when we actually had catalogs, and especially for those whose parents celebrated the holidays and stuff, and you be in there looking through the catalog and you trying to, or making lists. You get your little notebook and writing down the catalog number or the things that you wanted and exactly the size and the number and all of that. So active daydreaming is kind of sort of like that. Say what now? Yeah, it becomes like a movie, very detailed. Sometimes I start pulling other people in there too. I was telling, I had a conversation with Sai Cece the other day, and I was saying I used to do that once I understood. I got kind of irrefutable proof that I was telepathically linked with my partner. Oh, thank you, Tree. I We used to practice our telepathy, and sometimes one of the exercises that we would do is make up. Hey, Evelyn Ballum. One of the things that we would do is decide where we were going to be, like today. Sometimes we just be in our heads just to be in our heads. But sometimes we would decide that we were working on our dream house, and or we're working on the business aspect, what we're going to focus on the empire that we're building, or today we're working on our retreat that we've seen in our heads, things that we talked about verbally or in text. But when we went into our daydreaming state, if you will, we would link up telepathically, and then it's like having two people at the controls, and we were building our dream world together. And I have no doubt in my mind that one of these days we're going to walk into those rooms that we've built in our minds. And thank you, Tree. Oh, you say welcome, yeah. Welcome to the channel, both of you. But yeah, as far as the meditation piece though, learn to be fluid with meditation. I think a lot of people think that meditation is hard because we see people that get so rigid about how it has to look a certain way. You got to do this, or people used to think you got to sit with your legs just so and your hands just like this and and that's a way. That's not. I'm not saying that's an invalid way, but there are some people that zone out when they're running and they don't understand it. That's a meditation, or taking a walk in the woods, or whatever. There's a lot of different ways, excuse me, that you can tune in to. And here's the thing, I like to say tune in to source and all that, and people want to think it's religious. What you're really doing when you sit in meditation is tuning in to the unified field. You said ADHD and autism is just so each night. Are you on the spectrum, Tree? Do you have autism? I shouldn't say do you have autism. Are you autistic, my dear? Hey, story time. There's no shame here, and I wanted to make something clear to you. If you are, yep, you are awesome. And listen, I'm sorry for those that don't understand what I'm about to say. Maybe you will understand. If you just got offended because I said awesome when Tree said yes, please do not scroll away. Just listen to me for a minute. Hey, Michael Stevens, welcome, welcome. It came to me in meditation, and between that and research and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah, breath work is very important, and we'll get back to the meditation piece. But I want to give Tree some encouragement because she's saying that between the ADHD and autism, every night is kind of and ADHD does make meditation a little interesting. But here's the thing: as long as you're calming down your main mind chatter, if the mind movies go wherever they go because of the way your ADH brain is set up, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, because eventually it'll roam. Just let it roam. You just observe. Watch it like watching a mind movie. And yes, because of the way your brain is set up, your movies might be scattered. You might flip around a bit. Enjoy where you are for the moment, because you're going to be somewhere else in a minute. That's still valid meditation, my dear. Okay, don't let nobody convince you you can't meditate, because you can. You absolutely can. As far as the autism, I want people to start. I would like for you to at least understand. Cool, good, good, good. But I have a special place in my heart for those people who are autistic, because I believe, again, I'm not a medical professional, but from what I was shown and what I thought about it, and just kind of seeing the way autism has kind of bloomed onto the planet, um, children don't have autism, they are autistic. And while certain chemicals and dyes and all of those things may flare up and cause children to go within, the chemicals and dyes and vaccines and stuff did not cause children to be autistic. They would have still been autistic, because it's my understanding that autistic children are the next wave of ascension. They are 4D, 5D ready from birth. Now, yes, their systems are more sensitive to the chemicals and all the crap that they've been putting into us since the star seeds been coming on this planet. And some of them do react very severely and become extremely autistic to the point of becoming nonverbal. But that does not mean that those things cause that. Then you just have to clear their diet out, because their systems cannot handle the crap that the matrix is pumping into them. But those children carry a very special energy signature. And even the nonverbal ones are going to be critically important in the next 10 to 15 years, because their energy signature is what's going to stabilize and hold the Christ consciousness grid as we go through this next phase of evolution, moving in, like fully moving into the age of Aquarius. You said this is why you do yoga. All types of weird thoughts and memories come up in your mind. Yeah. It's not the destination, it's the trip. Enjoy your ride. I know that's right, Paul. And that's because you, if I've sat there and decided that the only meditation that was valid is when I completely quiet my mind, I would say I can't meditate either. I've never been officially diagnosed with anything, but my attention span is about as long as a gnat's behind, okay? And I get that part, but it doesn't matter. You say you've never seen anyone care about you ever? Oh, honey, autistic children are some of the most intelligent minds that have ever graced the planet. All of them, even especially the nonverbal ones. Just because somebody cannot get their thoughts out to where we can deal with it doesn't mean they're not intelligent. It's just that they're so tuned into their own inner world, they don't have no need to really connect with us. They're not set up for the 3D BS. That's what that is for real. They've already evolved past that point. No. Michael, I honestly don't think so, because the way it started happening, it wasn't just about a correlation of stress. Autism basically has followed, the occurrence of autism, I should say, has followed the basic rolling out of the star seeds. Like I said, the first wave of star seeds hit the planet roughly around 1953, 55 or so. And then the next wave started coming in the 60s. And there was another wave that came in through the 70s and 80s. And then by the time we got to the 90s and the 2000s, you start seeing like indigos and crystals and rainbow children coming in. But the kids are even getting more and more advanced. Babies used to be loose necked and laying around for 2 or 3 months. Now you get kids that are rolling over and holding their heads up and looking around and showing clear focus of vision and stuff within a few hours of birth. Got kids walking at 6 and 7 months. Learn there is something happening. Our dormant DNA is no longer dormant. Um, you say you stutter a lot when you speak because your mind is moving faster. Yeah, and the more you worry about stuttering, the more you are more likely to do it. But yeah. Um, but as far as autism, back in like the 40s or so, autism showed up in roughly 1 in 44,000 births. And now it's something like 1 in every 20 births. That's more than just environmental causes, you know? Because if it was truly environmental causes, if it was the vaccines, then everybody, almost everybody will. Yes, a lot more showing up. But if it were the vaccines causing it, there would be even more. There are a lot more than there used to be, but it seemed to be ramping up with each wave of starseed children that were, I mean, starseed generations that were coming in. And I firmly believe that, because like I said, the intelligence that comes with those children are extremely intelligent. Just because we can't necessarily connect with them doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. They're extremely intelligent, and most of them are very loving. Yeah, occasionally some kids lash out because they don't understand and become violent, but most autistic children are very loving, very intelligent. That's even despite the poisoning from all the GMO stuff and the sugar and the 36 different vaccines they got to get and all of that other stuff. Hey, Antoine, welcome in, brother, and thank you. A lack of identity with the physical individual, that probably that too, being lost in this avatar a little bit. Yeah. Hey, Jilly. Yep, some of them speaking at 6 months. Yep. Yep. Speaking at 6 months and walking at 7. Hey, Randy Slim, thank you for showing us how unintelligent you are. You can report whatever you want to, and they can watch the videos because I will challenge it. I'm not putting no misinformation out there. I just said, in my opinion. And if you can sit there and tolerate all the other nonsense that you see out there, then whatever. Do you, boo? Randy is a regular troll. You saw what he did. Again, he's showing his unintelligence tree. He's come in here before, and for some reason, he thinks that I'm supposed to be offended because he calls me a frog, and because I'm not offended by that, then he's mad. How am I gonna get mad about a stranger that I ain't even never seen, that won't even show their face, that aren't even taking it upon themselves to come out here in the space and disseminate any information, but he gonna report somebody else for putting out misinformation, even though he don't even stick around to find out what we talk about on this channel. See what I mean? Miserable individuals with no life and very little intelligence. That part. I can't get mad at that. He ain't important enough for me to be mad at. All I can do really is feel sorry for him because it's genuinely somebody with nothing going for them in life that would do that to a stranger. Real people with real shit going on in their lives don't waste their precious time doing that because time is money. They have something better to do with their lives than to just walk up and attack strangers for no reason. Thank you, Tree. See there, Randy, at least one person is inspired, so I'm not putting out misinformation. If it's misinformation to you, all you got to do is this. There's hundreds of channels live streaming right now, and you could scroll up and be at a new one in zero point 0.2. That's what he need to do is leave because he might if he stick around here long enough. What's the old folks say? If you hang around the barbershop long enough, you will get a haircut. If he stick around, he gonna mess around and learn something. That might not be what he want to do. I'm not tired. I'm just sitting here propping my hand up reading. I'm not tired. It's nighttime for me too, but it's only 8:43. I'm not tired. You say you have a son that walked at 7 months. Yep. Two daughters said first words at 6 and 7 months. They're now 9, 7, and 4. Ooh, girl, I'm gonna pray for you. Oh, you didn't have to time him out story time. He'd be all right, but hopefully he'll stick around and learn anyway. I would have rather you not timed him out since he was threatening to report somebody, but it's all good. I was like I say I wasn't gonna pay him no more attention because he just sick. But no, them kids. See what I'm saying? Like my children are older. Mine are all probably older than most of y'all in this live stream. But even then, when I understood that I was a star seed, I just really thought that my main goal here was to give birth to the next generation of starseed children. But my oldest daughter was she didn't walk at her little lazy self. She wouldn't let me see her walk. She could walk for months before she allowed me to see her walk, but she was like an observer. She would watch stuff and practice and watch stuff and practice. She said her first words around 8 months, and it was her first word was dollar. But then she just kind of observed and she put together language within about a week and was stringing together full sentences within a week or so. And by the time she was 2 or 3 years old, most people couldn't believe that they were talking with a 2 year old because she was using words in context. But I never let nobody speak baby talk to them anyway. Yeah. You ain't missed much. Storytime got sick and tired of Randy Slim, whoever he was. And here's the thing. If they're just talking about my physical appearance, let them stay. I don't care because it doesn't offend me. I know I don't look like a frog. If that's the worst he got, he probably looked more like he's really probably projecting. Because why would you, even if I'm just average at best, which I'm willing to be, why would you go up and start talking about somebody's physical appearance? It, in a public setting, it would really make you look stupid. Even if a person was what we would consider downright homely, it's still just to walk up to a stranger and just openly just go in on their physical appearance for no reason, that's not really socially acceptable in public. So these people do behind a computer screen the things that they would not dare do in public, you know? There was a guy, and I can't remember his channel's name though, but it was so funny because one of them did that, and he went in the wrong live stream and started talking racial crap to the wrong dude, and the dude literally said, "Oh, I got time today," and he tracked down that guy's profile, found out the guy was in the military, reported him to his commanding officers, got him kicked out the military, and some more stuff. And if you get a dishonorable discharge in the military, you're going to find a hard time getting a job anywhere else. He thought that he could hide behind a computer screen and just say any kind of reckless mess he wanted to out his keyboard. And he said it to the wrong one. And oh, they got hemmed up. And I loved it. Hey, Beta Chan. If, don't you do it now either, Tree. Go to bed. I didn't know you were in a different time zone. Boy, boy or girl, whomever you are, go to bed. I'll try to do a if you subscribe to the channel and come back, I'll try to come on like on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. I usually do the evening times, but if you're genuinely interested in, I tell you what, start watching my uploaded content. You don't have to hit the live streams all the time. Subscribe to the channel, go into the uh, playlist titled Modern Mystic Loved Ones, and it'll give you a lot of the type of information I discuss here on the channel. And you can still get not have to miss anything. But yeah, go to bed. You need your, I don't want to say beauty sleep because you're beautiful anyway, but you're a young child that needs to grow. So yeah, got sorry to kick you out, boo, but you got to go. Child, don't argue with Beta. Don't even argue with Beta, because anybody with good sense ought to know that souls are real. Even if you don't want to believe the rest of the stuff in the Bible, but it said that man became a living soul. Even when script and in airplanes and stuff, when they do the count, they'll tell you how many souls are on board. Yeah, that part. Well, guess what? It had to grow from somewhere. It may not grow overnight, Jam Rock, but that's okay. That's quite all right because it started out once upon a time with 0 subscribers and now it has 3,000. So it'll be all right. Maybe if people like you would keep y'all nasty energy away from it, maybe it would grow. That part. But I'm not here for worrying about how fast it grows or doesn't grow. I'm here to teach those who are wanting to learn and willing to come. I'm calling in soul family, not troll family. I'm calling in soul family. So I understood when I started this channel that it might go a little bit slower than whatever, because I'm not out there booty shaking, pimple popping, talking mess, reacting, putting up stupid videos, stealing people's content with the stupid smiley, laughy faces. All of that kind of stuff blows up real fast on YouTube. Channels that discuss real spirituality don't grow that fast. So I'm okay with my channel growth, but thank you. I hope so, but I still want you to get up off of here, tree. Like I said, I love you, boo, but you got to go 6'7" yourself. I appreciate the sub too, but yeah, definitely go to bed and catch me when I'm on during the daytime because you're in a different time zone, and I don't want your parents mad at me. So I love you, but go to bed. What are you doing, Antoine? Please stop. Okay, may the Holy Cross be my light. Let not the dragon be my guide. Yeah, okay. I thought you were throwing curses. Yeah, don't do that. Hey, shamanic healer, welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you. I hope you're gonna behave tonight. The heart matches your hair. You get what you got? Purple hair? I didn't see what color. Oh, the kind of orangey hair. Awesome. I kind of sort of want some purple hair, but yeah. Thank you, story time. Oh, you're a boy? Okay. Well, whichever. Like I said, it don't even really matter, but thank you for clarifying. And I do hope that your cancer situation reverses itself. Don't give up on that. I don't know what country you're in, but however that goes, whether you're doing chemo, whether you're there's some things out there, and I do hope that you are able to reverse that like really, really soon. Uh, See, you go to bed, boy. Yeah, don't. Yeah, let you gonna be just fine. I love you, and you're welcome to hang out with us anytime when it's earlier. But if you are genuinely 3 hours out away, go to bed. Hey, Chody Freeman, how are you? How do you become spiritual, shamanic healer? Ask for it. Stop clowning on spirit and be sincere. Open your mind and heart. Because genuinely, almost anything and everything can be spiritual. You just have to acknowledge that there's more going on. Because see, it takes a level of arrogance, not just spiritual arrogance, but truthfully human based arrogance, to think that we got all the answers and know everything, and to think that the lies that the mainstream have pumped to us are the truth. That's the part that gets me. That's the part that actually gets me coming back on here week after week, despite the trolls, despite whether the channel is growing or not, because there are some people that are humble enough to understand that we have been lied to. The ones that still want to clutch their pearls and their Bibles and swear, oh, you got to, I'm going to hell and I got to do this and this is the only way and you got to return to God and all that stuff. How naive do you have to be to think that the government done lied to us? The political systems done lied to us. They switched history around on us, but you think they really fed you 100% of the truth in religion? All the other systems lied to us. Why do you really think religion hasn't? When you can accept that, that's the beginning of opening your mind so that you can start to gain wisdom. And when you do that, you'll stop believing the Sunday school pablum. Because again, I'm saying Sunday school, whether you're in temple, at Shabbat, or at the Majid, whatever. If you really, really think that the newcomer religions on this planet got all the answers, and I call them newcomer religions because yes, 2,500 years sound like a lot of time to us, But being as how this planet, we know that history goes back like 300 or 400,000 years. What's the likelihood that the three that popped out all together, boom, 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 right in a row just 2,000 years ago, are telling you all of the truth and got it all right? It almost stands to reason the fact that they showed up in such close proximity to each other that they're an agenda being pushed by one. Not necessarily a true one, but it's an agenda being pushed by one people. And peace to you, also, Tree. Oh Lord. And now he back with the Enlightenment 888. I just answered the question on how we become spiritual. Don't do this. Please don't start. You came back for a reason. For whatever reason, your guides want you here and you come back, but you want to come back and clown. The main way you get to be spiritual is to stop being so damn arrogant that you think it's funny to come in here and troll and clown. Be quiet and learn something. That's how you become spiritual. Enlightenment, shamanic healer. You not any of those things. You fling those terms around. First of all, if you was truly a shamanic healer, you wouldn't be advertising that as a blurb on YouTube. If you was genuinely enlightened, you probably wouldn't use that as a label either. Unless you actually got a channel that's putting out some content discussing enlightenment. But your personal handle, you wouldn't be putting any either one of those in there. So you're neither a shaman nor enlightened. And especially if you're coming into somebody's live stream just to troll and be a problem like you did the last time I came on here on live. Hey, Robin Williams, how are you? Actually, Jim Rock better be glad ain't nothing. There's no such thing as a burning hell, because truthfully, he would be on his way if there was one. But they're the ones that want to believe in it. So yeah, that part. Honestly, y'all, though, I wanted to mention other things. I was telling him he could look around for natural remedies, but I resist the urge to say anything on the off chance that he really is 12. He said he was joking about the testicular issue, but he got some bladder issues. Let's face it, if his parents aren't open to the idea of natural medicine and healing, it don't matter what we tell him. Because unfortunately, he's still very much under the guise of whatever his parents will allow. So I just went slow on it. I am. I'm doing real well. I'm just chill today. Like I say, the trolls they got out here early with their little salvos, but it's all good. Again, my attitude towards the trolls are changing. I'm not here to discuss all the universal laws. There's plenty of channels that will, though. I think it's like the law of compensation, the law of attraction is what everybody is interested in, but there's a lot of other laws that go along with the law of correspondence, law of compensation, the law of I cannot rattle off all 12 of them. Some people say 12, some say 14, but you can go and look up the universe if you want to. Apparently, Chody Freeman, like I said, they ain't got nothing better to do. And again, report me for what? And Chody ain't even talking one way or another and ain't even sticking around. So they have no idea. I don't want to teach nobody to be a guru. I'm not a guru. So how am I going to teach you to be one? Again, go somewhere and get some basic spirituality so you can just learn how to be a decent individual. But you can leave now because I don't have time for that kind of foolishness. How about that? That's a sad shame, though. We come on here, I talk about the ancient texts and try to help people understand the ways that they've been hoodwinked and bamboozled to try to bring a little bit of light to a very dark world. And all they want to do is come in here and be disruptive, like for real. Child, please. Must be. I don't know, Lauren. Must be. But hey, how you doing, love? But he came in the last live stream. He got at least two IDs and come in here. Shamanic Healer and Enlightenment 888 is the same person. They ain't got nothing better to do than to just come in here and be a pain. That part. To be a guru, you have to be quiet and listen and remove your ego and learn. It is a question and answer for people that's got real questions, which you do not. You took up an inordinate amount of time last time and just kept talking in circles about the same thing. I spent over 2 hours explaining things to you. You weren't interested in learning because you would be quiet and learn if you were. You keep asking ridiculous questions. If you was interested in learning, go watch some of my content. How about that? You'll learn plenty if you watch some of the uploaded content. Right now, we just coming in here freestyling. Literally, I put Freestyle Friday on here. But if you really, really are interested in what this platform is about, go dig into some of those playlists I have on the uploaded content. That part. Ooh, Antoine, you had a dream that an entity was feeding on your energy. Ugh. Yeah, Niana, they want that haircut. Like I said, if they stand around the barber shop long enough, they'll get one. They want a haircut. And that's the crazy part because they really do. That's the part they don't understand. Their guides are sending them quite literally to someone that can help them wake up in the matrix. What's the other explanation? Again, my channel, like somebody so kindly pointed out, my channel isn't growing that fast. That means YouTube, for whatever reason, thanks to people like them that do hateful things like report me for no reason, my channel isn't being put out there to that many people. So the fact that I show up in their live stream and grab their attention enough for them to start talking trash, that means they're not here by accident. Their guides genuinely put my channel in front of them for a reason. And instead of taking time to respect that part and learn, they rather show up and clown. Because I'm not for the masses. I'm not. I'm here to gather Soul Tribe and to teach those who are ready to hear what I have to say. I'm not for everybody. I'm not likely to, I mean, yeah, technically if I keep doing what I'm doing or whatever, it would literally take for me to get to a point that somebody like Billy Carson or Paul Wallace or one of them decided to pick me up and work along with me to kind of collab with them to bring my channel into the mainstream like that. But we be talking about the same stuff. I just don't have the graphics and the team and the editors and all of that to be that big yet. But it's okay because everybody don't even know who Paul Wallace and Billy Carson are. So I talk about it to those who spirit sends to me. When I started this channel, when I started my other channel, I sat down and dedicated in prayer, dedicated my channel to be and I asked to be a conduit for spirit, asked to gather in Soul Tribe so that I could turn around and help those learn the things that Spirit has shown me. Get on the passages and bump the trolls. Yeah. All right. Where are we going? Come up with it. Let's see. What are we going to talk about? I wanted to go back through. I haven't done it for a while, but something is telling me to jump back in the not in the emerald. Actually, we might look at the emerald tablets for a little bit. But something has me wanting to go back into the lost book for a little hot second. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pick those up in a minute. Bear with me. Talk about some esoteric knowledge. We sure can. Well, sort of, kind of. I'm getting ready to get into the Emerald Tablets and a little bit of the Lost Book. And I'm sure that's gonna take us right on into the Bible too. So let's see. Where is it? Where? I'm trying to figure out. Oh, I think I took it over here. My bad. Bear with me, y'all. Yep, here it is. I had forgotten. I had taken it off the bookshelf. It was under my tablet. There we go. You ain't got to put all the laws up there. They'll be reading for the next 20 minutes, Antoine. Let them go look it up. They're too lazy to look it up. They don't need to know. You say if you should go to sleep or go on your PC, you should go to sleep tree, little 12, so you can be big and strong. I told you. Listen, all of my live streams, unless I get a copyright, I don't edit my live streams. I don't edit none of my content, good, bad, or indifferent. What happens and it happens. So later on tomorrow, at some point, after this live stream, it will be uploaded to the channel whenever YouTube finishes it uploading. Live streams take forever to upload, but you can go back and watch it at your leisure. Go to sleep, my love, especially if your body is trying to heal itself of something. You genuinely need your rest. You are a growing child still. You don't need to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning. You need to allow your body to rest because that is when your body heals itself in your sleep state, okay? I ain't trying to be mean, but I don't want to have to remove you. You need to go to sleep. This information ain't going nowhere. Once it's online, it's here forever until YouTube take it down or whatever. But I'll make it public so you can see it, okay? All right. I do have children. My children are all grown now. My children are 34. Yeah, my daughter is 34. My twin boys are 30, and my youngest child is 25. No. Yeah, that's right. Gigi done told you to go to sleep. All right, that part. Auntie, whatever you want to call me, go to sleep. Now I wanted to go back in here at 57. Why wouldn't I? 4 children ain't so many kids. No, not three. I got a 34-year-old, two 30. I mean, yeah, two 30-year-old, a 34-year-old, two 30-year-olds, and a 25-year-old. You said yeah, and they went to bed when they was told. They're going right. Yeah. I have still been trying to find in here the passage where it talks about Yahweh's title, Enlil's title, I should say, being Satan of the Eden. I know in Astral Legends version they talk about it, but I'm trying to find it in print again because we read so much of this stuff that I can't get it. Oh, okay. Okay. The 34, I get it now. I get it. I'm still tell you to go your little booty to bed. How about that? Mm-mm-mm. Oh, it was. I don't remember if I shared it. I can't. I think I did the last live stream. I did share both of those videos like I was supposed to. Because the thing that fascinated me in there when they were discussing the ME, because it doesn't really tell you what the ME are here in the Lost Book. But yeah. All right. Good night. Have a good one. Yep. Yep. It was. Thank you for joining us. But have a good one. Um. But yeah, in that video, it was talking about the ME and we talked about what Inanna did with the ME and all that good stuff. He said he going, oh God, here come another one. Nope, that's all I got for you. I acknowledge you. I see you. No, goodbye. Be quiet or be gone, Blue Eyes. I love you too, but I ain't playing with you. Not that game. They ain't learning nothing. Blue Eyes just want to come in. He literally, he or she quite literally only comes in here to ask the same stupid question and then leaves. He not sticking around to actually learn nothing. He just comes in to be disruptive. So I'll acknowledge that he's here because I don't want him to think I went blind, but I'm not going to argue with him and I'm not going to entertain him no further than that. Stop doing that, Cece. You don't have to. You don't have to let. You don't have to time them out. Let them stay, please, y'all. Please, I'm begging. Unless they get racially ridiculous, or if they start spamming so fast we can't keep up with the actual chat flow, let their ignorance shine. They ain't doing nothing but making themselves look stupid. Because I promise you I wasn't finna argue with him no more. I saw something in Viral Man the other day with it was talking about AI psychosis that people do. I mean, that people are getting so caught up into it. And honestly, I've seen the beginnings of that. I told you, I use AI as little as I possibly can. But I know y'all heard me talking about that tarot reader that had the issue with the demonic attacks and all that other stuff. Before they took their content off of YouTube entirely, they had started leaning more heavily into using AI. And we're starting to do like the AI characters and the readings by AI and all of that. But when I was talking to him and telling him about my concerns with using AI, he was beginning to start talking to AI like a real person. And I get it, a lot of us are isolated and it can happen. It can happen. You say you did notice it? Yeah. People start talking to AI like they would have talked to a friend, especially those who are heavily in isolation. No, we ain't talking about no AI. You ain't just woke up to talk about it. Turn this thing off. Put some meditation music on and go to sleep. Get off the channel. If you don't know what AI is, we definitely not gonna try to educate you on that. Go look it up, shamanic. That's what you do. I refuse to go there. If I'm damn near 60 years old and I know what it is, there's no excuse for you not to know. Tree is 12 years old, Antoine. That's why I said he got to go. Hey, Dr. Swanky, whoever you, Dr. Swanky Sky, welcome. I'm still trying to find this passage, y'all. I don't know where It might have been in the first part of the 12th planet, but I know I saw it in print somewhere. Something I missed here, though, as far as Anu and all of them, it said the firstborn. The royal annals from the House of Records were brought forth. With much care they were read. An and Antu, the first royal couple, were 3 sons, and no daughters to them were born. The firstborn was Anki. He died on the throne. He had no offspring. The middle son, in his stead, the throne ascended. Anib was his name. Anshargal was his firstborn. The throne he ascended. After him on the throne, kingship by firstborn did not continue. The law of succession by the law of the seed was supplanted. A concubine's son was the firstborn. By the law of seed, of kinship, of kingship, he was deprived. And that's how Alalu got to the throne. It said the kingship instead to Kershagal's son was granted. Her being a half sister of the king of the was the reason. Of the concubine's son, the firstborn, the annals made no record. Of him I am descended, Alalu to the counselors cried out. And that's how Alalu by succession, instead of by the blood, he got the throne by succession. But he lost the throne because when the atmosphere started dissolving and they needed to find a solution, he wasn't coming up with anything in time, and so many shards had gone by, and they were starting to have famines and the earthquakes and the this and the that. And Anu challenged him from the throne and won the battle, and that's how Anu got on the throne. But I was still trying to find. Wait a minute. This book gonna make me have to run through and read it again because that's the way. There's no. Is my lineage Anunnaki? Yeah, because Yeshua's lineage is Anunnaki. And I am a descendant of Yeshua. I am an oracle priestess for Yeshua and Lord Enki. You don't get much more Anunnaki than that. That's why my other channel name is Anunnaki Oracle Priestess. I'm not ashamed of that at all. Very happily Anunnaki. Because all Anunnaki ain't, yeah, I'm not Team Yahweh though. I'm most definitely Team Enki. Because Yeshua was Team Enki. Oh, I ain't paying no attention. I mean, oh, Tree, yeah, and I'm gonna start ignoring him too because he need to go to bed. What did the environment say? You love the way you use it as another perspective and confirmation on subjects. Okay, yeah, that's all it should be used as. I don't know why people keep thinking that they. Well, we know why. They always show us in the movies, TV, and everything else that it doesn't end well with the free reign they choose to give AI. It ain't gonna end well for them. However, it is going to be shut down in time or modified. I don't worry too much about AI or any of the stuff that happens here because oh, I'm so sorry. I gotta find another track because this is just happening too often. Nothing will happen here that isn't allowed at this point. Antoine, he's not being sincere. He don't want to know how to you don't have to waste your time trying to explain how to align your chakras. He's doing that to be disruptive. honestly, because he knows if I don't answer the question, somebody else is going to attempt to answer it, and it's just going to take the conversation somewhere else. He ain't interested in aligning his chakras. That's the same stuff he asked last time. You think because he gives somewhat of a compliment that ain't nobody going to remember the disruptive force that is him. He is not sincere. Because if he was, he would listen to what we're actually talking about instead of trying to take the conversation someplace completely different. We own the third largest, I think the third largest search engine on the planet. Anybody that was interested in aligning their chakras could type it in the search bar and get 100 videos explaining to them how to do it. He ain't interested in finding out how to align his chakras. Exactly. He's supposed to be a shamanic healer and he don't know how to align his chakras. He should change his name. That's that part entirely, Paul Snowcloud. That's why I'm not even pressed on trying to answer it because I know it's not a real question. I guess his other name is Enlightened 888 and he ain't that neither. The power will go off and never come back on because of AI. Uh, mm, I honestly don't think that's going to be allowed to happen because, again, the powers that be, or powers that were, in my opinion, are using, they started the whole AI agenda. They are working with some beings that do not have our best interest at heart, but they ain't the only beings in the universe. People don't understand every closed eye ain't sleep, you know? We've gotten so used to the tales of a disinterested sky daddy because Yahweh is a disinterested quote unquote sky daddy that we really think that I keep telling y'all, I'm a end of the book kind of girl. The vast majority of the planet that buy into these spiritual systems get so caught up in the religiosity of it, the pomp and circumstance of it, the hellfire and damnation of it. They get caught up in trying to figure out the symbology of all them intricate parables throughout Ezekiel and Daniel and Revelation, and they'll do hour lectures on that stuff and the Medes and the Persians and the this and the that, looking at all of the ancient things. And I'm not saying that ain't cool to know, but what they really need to do, cut it down to its simplest terms, is look at the overall timbre of what that story says and then go to the last two chapters of the book because it tell you. Yeah, exactly. So AI can do whatever. They might have to temporarily shut down power to get AI under control because they done showed us what happened. Don't you remember I, Robot? You thought that was just entertainment. Most of the world just laughs all of that stuff off. The government quite literally allows the Hollywood vehicle to put all of that stuff out there. Number one, to partially scare us, but they're showing us very clearly what they suspect is going to happen. And yet they do it anyway. So it will never be the governments to save us from this. It will literally be the other side of the coin, the benevolent folks that are also still watching some of this stuff that's going to come in. The same kind of um, extraplanetary beings that start shutting down those nuclear weapons every time they do a test, try to do a test firing, and all of a sudden all of their launch codes get scrambled on that base and the next one over. Those beings, they're not going to allow but just so much to happen. No, AI ain't gonna pick up no nothing. AI will be shut down. Again, humans was foolish to allow it to get too far out of hand, but it'll be shut down. Yeah. They don't know nothing about that though, Paul Snowcloud. There are several Commander Ashtars. Like I said, I'm only really personally familiar with Sharon, but Ashtar Command is not gonna allow but just so much to happen. Again, y'all think everything they show y'all in TV is just entertainment. Go look at the premise behind Star Wars. Look at the premise behind Stargate. Those are not just idle entertainments. To some degree, yeah, they put the little Hollywood razzle dazzle on it to bamboozle you and lull you to sleep. But where do you think those concepts come from? They come from something. I'm not saying nothing else. There's nothing more for me to say about AI. I'm not a channel on here either to embrace or debunk or talk against AI, Jed Thomas. I don't mess with it because I don't trust it. Because I know that it came from the Orions and they don't have our best interest at heart. So I use it as little as I possibly can. I watched the movies. Before I signed off of mainstream television, I seen enough of them to know that the AI agenda doesn't end well for us if it's not checked. Even Elon Musk says that he say he gonna go ahead on and get his money because he got to stay competitive in the job market. But he has said on several occasions that where AI is headed scares the hell out of him. Oh no, that's not just random fear mongering. If they continue to allow it, they should remember the movie Her, because it computes so fast and it basically self repairs, self learns, and all the rest of that. If it was left unchecked, it would become self aware. Of course it would. And once it became self aware, it would be designed to self protect. And once it did that, it would look around and realize that humans ain't shit, that they've been misguiding each other. They're greedy, they're murderous, and all the rest of that stuff. Humans don't even operate in our own best interest. They know AI would have no choice but to deduce that we will not operate in their best interest. And at that point, the natural conclusion would be to erase us. That's the Hollywood premise they've been telling y'all for 4 decades now. Why you don't understand it? I don't know. But instead of humans choosing to be decent people, we've devolved into further and further degradation. Yes, I know for a fact it'll be stopped because the one who's behind it will be stopped. And all of those who choose to continue to align with the one who's behind it will be stopped. Yeah. Yeshua, not Jesus, shamanic. Again, we talked about that. Be very careful what you say because words are important. Jesus is hail Zeus. That's what that word means. That routes right back to Yahweh. Yahweh is the one at the end of that book that they say is going to be destroyed. Oh, but they call him Satan the devil at the end of the book because he is. So, no, Jesus is not the cure. Yeshua is the cure. But yeah, Paul, it will be stopped and way sooner than they know. I would, if we don't see it shut down within my lifetime, I'd be very, very shocked. That's what I've been told, Jed Stamas. I have no way of proving that, but I believe it is the Orions, and I don't think the Orions are the ones who are aligning with the governmental systems that gave us that. Or not, I'm not going to say all Orions are against humanity, but the ones who did that, that are working with our governments behind our back, behind the scenes, don't have our best interest at heart. And truthfully, they're trying to push AI up to the point that it's ready to hook up with that Starlink thing. And humans are so stupid that they'll be signing up and paying hundreds of thousands of dollars, or not Starlink, Neuralink. They'll pay whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be the first in line to go into that Neuralink shit so that they can literally become avatars for the Orions because that's all it's designed for. They want to take over our body. Their bodies don't do very well in this environment. So they'll give us all of the other stuff, the chat GPT and the AI tools. Oh, it's so easy and it'll make your workload easier. And we've gotten so lazy and so used to having everything shortcutted. All they have to do to sell us something is to tell us it'll make it easier, it'll cut our workload, or it'll help us make more money. And we ain't gonna put no thought into it. We'd be like, sign us up. But Neuralink is going to turn people into quite literally into virtual electronic slaves. So who governs me? Who is my God? Guess what? When Enki, our real progenitor, actually created us, that let us make man in our image, Yahweh insisted that we have a worship gene put in us, but Enki gave us the ability to turn it off. So I don't have a God. The creator of this universe, the creator of all, would be the one that I would look to, the only one that I'd be interested in looking to as a quote unquote God. But that being or entity or energy does not require our worship either. It's Yahweh that demanded worship. So I don't have a God. Yeshua said, "Did I not tell ye are gods?" That part. So I'm God, as are you. That's why I close each and every one of my broadcasts and each and every one of my videos with namaste. Yeah. Big egos need to be worshipped. Real people really don't. Like I said, Inky saw us once he realized we had intellect and we share their blood. He saw us like his children or his progeny. But he doesn't. Yeah, he wants us to work with him, cooperate with him, respect him. Worship? Nope, not necessary. No, he don't suffer from no Antoine. He doesn't suffer from a neurological problem. He is one of them dim-witted people that we talk about that don't have no life and nothing better to do. He's a nicer troll than most of them, but he's not here to genuinely contribute to the conversation. He pretends to be interested so that he can be a disruptive influence. The best course of action is to respond quickly to whatever questions, if it almost looks to be real, and then let it go. You see, I'm not really trying to engage him because I know he's not sincere. But like last time, in putting his insincere questions out there, he's still giving me an opportunity to teach. So I just let it roll until I get to where I want to go, and then I'm going to ignore him and go on the conversation. All right, Paul, have a good night. I'm not too far behind. I'm going to end this at 10. But you have a wonderful evening. Good night. Love you. Namaste. This is something I missed the first time. I knew initially Inky's name was Ea, and according to him, I guess the name Inky means Earth's master, even though, like I said, power was shifted over to Enlil at some point. Oh shoot, Jilly, I didn't even. You've been so quiet, I didn't even realize you were still in here. Cool, cool. This is gonna really bug me. I should have did this off camera, I guess, but we can still talk. Hey, Nikki Bazant, how are you? Welcome in and welcome to the channel. I don't remember seeing you before, so welcome, welcome. Could I say more about the origins of Yahweh? Yeah, Jed Thomas, if you seriously say, hey, Glove 300. Right now, I'm looking through the Lost Book of Enki because I was trying to find a very specific reference, and it's put in here in just its poetry form. There's no real like outlined cross reference, chapter one, chapter two, as to what's in those chapters. So I was just looking through it as we were talking. Um, but no, Yahweh's origins are neither Canaanite nor Chaldean or Chaldean, as they would say. Um, Yahweh initially, well, again, we go all the way back. There is a very good documentary on Myth Vision podcast. It probably aired somewhere about 8 months ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that. But it's about 2.5 hours long. But it traces it basically tracks Yahweh all the way back through all of the as far as they can, because there are a couple of places in history where Yahweh kind of came in under the radar. He started absorbing characteristics of Enki. Yahweh acted so bad till he was exiled by his own people. Like Marduk behaved so badly. Marduk was exiled twice. Yahweh was exiled once. But Yahweh, before he became Yahweh, well, he'd been a lot of different things. He was known as Baal. He absorbed Baal in the temple because before the Jews started worshiping him exclusively, they worshiped Baal, Yahweh, and Asherah in the temple at the same time. Three gods was worshipped in the same temple. And it was said that Asherah was his wife. But being the jealous God that he is, he absorbed Baal. So he basically became Baal. He also absorbed El. That's the part that Muslims don't understand. They will fight you tooth and nail on that Yahweh and Allah are not the same deity, but they are, because over time, Yahweh absorbed El. Why do you think so many of the so quote unquote angels have El in their name? Barakiel, Jeremiel, Azrael. They are sons of El. Now, truthfully, Gabriel and whatever they got that name to, but they are Team Enki. But a lot of the angels have El in their title because of that, and it links back to Yahweh again. Um, but he's been known as Yao, Eonis, uh, Bacchus, Dionysus. In the Greek pantheon, he was Zeus. That's why that saying Jesus, that means hail Zeus. It ain't got nothing to do with Yeshua HaMashiach. It doesn't. Um, he was also, I believe, now they won't tell you this, but in the Egyptian pantheon, and again, I think AI done started screwing with some stuff because Enki is Ptah in the Egyptian pantheon, and they will not agree. But because of the description of him being a storm god and a this and that, I believe Yahweh was Set in the Egyptian pantheon, but in the I think he's Oludumare in the Yoruba pantheon. Enki is Olokun. In the Nordic pantheon, he is Odin. Okay. But in all of those pantheons, he was a horse's behind, basically. He's violent, vindictive, very immoral, never really cared about humanity. But if you trace it all the way back, and go all the way back to the very first beginnings, the very first civilization was in Sumer, and that was under the Anunnaki. And in the Anunnaki pantheon, Yahweh was Enlil of Nibiru. And his title when he first got here was Lord of the Command. And his second title, shortly after he got here and they started settling down and getting their land and stuff together, was Satan of the Eden. No, we're not doing that, troll. You can be quiet or you got to go. And we ain't doing whatever spell casting and the rest of that stuff. Now that one can go. You said you following me? Yeah. L is very negative. L is Yahweh. Yahweh has hated humanity from the first time from the first day that the first Adamu drew the first breath on this planet. Yahweh has always hated humanity. We are a necessary evil as far as he was concerned, but he saw us as little more than animals and certainly never to be more than slaves. He was the one that determined that we were to have our lifespan limited at the after the Tower of Babel, because he saw too much intelligence coming out in us, and then he determined that our lifespan would be limited, that we were never to be told that they're not gods. He was the one that made that ruling that no man could see God and yet live. It ain't that we would die if we saw them. We were to be instantly unalived if we messed around and saw their faces. That's why he moved around in smoke and flame and shadow and clouds all through the Bible. Everywhere he go, he was doing his little flashbang special effects because he would not show his faces. The lower Anunnaki, the sons of Anunnaki, the El Shaddai, they appeared and were called angels and stuff. But the big dogs, Yahweh said that we were supposed to be told that they were gods, and to make sure that we would worship them, he insisted that his brother put a worship gene in us to make us worship them. That's why people still worship today and get mad when you try to help them turn their worship gene off. That was the sin in the Garden of Eden. It ain't had nothing to do with eating no damn fruit. You said, can he go? If he be quiet, if Troll don't say nothing else, he can go. I don't even know if he called himself throwing down curses, but he don't even know who he messing with. Touch not my anointed, do my prophet no harm. Archangel Michael, please place a fiery wall of protection around me and all of the cooperative viewers in this live stream. Anybody that's got something negative to say, yeah. Whatever he just sent to us, please return it back to him threefold. Ashe. Thank you, Yeshua and Archangel Michael. Yeah, he can go. And if he come back with some foolishness, he can go for 24 hours. We're not doing that here. And he got the nerve. He called himself a troll. He bold with it. Again, how miserable can a human being be? I'm sitting here talking about things that are fundamentally important to all of us, but they ain't got sense enough to understand that it's fundamentally important. No, he is actually Yahweh, is not just an archetype within us, Jed Stamas. According to the Gnostics, they also, one of his other name was Yaldabaoth. He's a dragon. He is demon, one of the aeons, whatever you want to call it. He was an actual being from Nibiru, flesh and blood. Maybe not our flesh and blood, but flesh and blood. That is what I'm. This book right here that I've read on this channel. I'm gonna go back into. Oh man, I lost the page that I was on. Good God. Shoot. Hold on. I'll get there later. Hold on. I'm gonna just put a bookmark here and I'll find that part later. Hi, it's you, Alex. I'm not sure who Alex is, but okay. Uh, Pickle. That's all I'm gonna say because I'm not going with the rest of that. But welcome. Yeah, he got 5 minutes. Yeah, that's what I say. He'll be all right. But yeah, he that's not just an archetype within us. He's actually a very malevolent being. That's part of the issue. Even in the scriptures, it tells us that one of the devil's biggest tools has been to try to convince people that he's not real. And some of these folks in their religious arrogance have decided that the devil isn't real, that it's just a thought in our own mind. That's one of the most dangerous, dismissive things that they could have done. Okay. I am like an oracle, the oracle in the Matrix, because part of my job is to help people wake up in the Matrix. That's not, again, one, the Matrix movie changed my life. I was so profoundly moved for it when it first came out. I didn't even see it in the theaters at first. I saw it on VHS, and the moment that that movie ended, I had to stop and rewind it and watch it again, and then turned around and watched it again, and had to really stop and look at what was going on, because I do understand that they show us a lot of things if you're wise enough to understand what you're looking at. Hey, Ms. Michelle, how are you? I love both of the oracles though, CC. I'm not offended by that at all. I like the first oracle and I like the one that showed up in the end. I don't have no problem with being the oracle in the Matrix. Because she was a very wise being that was helping the one, Neo, the one, help him realize he's the one. But yeah. But anyway, for those that were interested in what I was reading, the introduction to this book is kind of interesting anyway. And I'm going to read a little bit of it here. It says, some 445,000 years ago, astronauts from another planet came to Earth in search of gold. Splashing down in one of Earth's seas, they waded ashore and established Eridu, the home in the far away. In time, the initial settlement expanded to a full-fledged mission Earth with a mission control center, a spaceport, mining operations, and even a way station on Mars. You say you were convinced for a while, you saw it way before it came out? Maybe. Yeah. Let me see. Short of manpower, the astronauts employed genetic engineering to fashion primitive workers, Homo sapiens. The deluge that catastrophically swept over the Earth required a fresh start. The astronauts became gods, granting mankind civilization, teaching it to worship. Then, about 4,000 years ago, all that had been achieved unraveled in a nuclear calamity brought about by the visitors to Earth in the course of their own rivalries and wars. What had taken place on Earth, and especially the events since human history began, has been called by Zechariah Sitchin in his Earth Chronicles from the Bible, clay tablets, ancient myths, and archaeological discoveries. But what had preceded the events on Earth? What had taken place on the astronauts' own planet in Nibiru that caused the space journey, the need for gold, the creation of man? What emotions, rivalries, beliefs, morals, or lack thereof motivated the principal players in the celestial and space sagas? What were the relationships that caused mounting tensions on Nibiru and on Earth? What tensions arose between old and young, between those who had come from Nibiru and those born on Earth? And to what extent was what had happened determined by destiny, a destiny whose record of past events holds the key to the future? Would it not be auspicious were one of the key players an eyewitness and one who could distinguish between fate and destiny to record for posterity the how and where and when and why of it all, the first things and perhaps the last things? But that is precisely what some of them did do, and foremost among them was the very leader who had commanded the first group of astronauts. Scholars and theologians alike now recognize that the biblical tales of creation, of Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, the deluge, the Tower of Babel, were based on texts written down millennia earlier in Mesopotamia, especially by the Sumerians, and they in turn clearly stated that they obtained their knowledge of past events, many from a time before civilizations began, even before mankind came to be, from the writings of the Anunnaki, which means those from heaven to earth came. Those were the gods of antiquity. Because that name couldn't possibly exist, shamanic healer. If you so shamanic and you so enlightened, you should know that during the time that any of those scriptures were written, there was no such thing as the letter J. None. So at best, we could come up with Yeshua as his name. Some say Yehoshua, but there are records that also call him Isa. But there is no such thing as Jesus. That was put in later when the Greek language came along, but it means hail Zeus. And in the Greek pantheon, Zeus is Yahweh. That was the big subterfuge. They got people convinced that they're doing this whole Christianity thing because of love of Jesus. They martyred Yeshua, and then 300 years later spun that lie around the reason why they needed to martyr him. Basically, he didn't need to die for our sins. They told that lie so that they could remix and rinse his blood off their hands, because people remembered the story. Christianity ain't got jack diddly to do with Yeshua, except for them few little chapters in the middle where they put his story in there. But even most of the Gospels were not actually written by the men who walked with Yeshua. They weren't. Those are just stories that were culled from the history and the text and the whatever previous to that point. And Constantine wanted butts in the seat. He wanted to create a unified religion so that he could begin his land grab and his loyalty grab. It was too many different religions around, so he wanted to create a unified religion, and Christianity was created in 325 AD. And they took some of the stories from some of the people from what they remembered of the Yeshua stories and put that story in the middle of this book to make it look like Yeshua was coming to point the Jews to this new Jehovah that they was coming out with. But John chapter 8 tells us exactly the opposite. If people knew how to read with understanding, Yeshua was not pointing nobody to worship Yahweh. Exactly the opposite. He told them, "You do not know the Father that sent me. If you knew my Father, you do the works of my Father. You worship your father, the devil. He's a liar and the father of a lie. He ain't got no truth in him." He told the Jews that directly, and they were so angry because he was preaching against Yahweh that they had the Romans unalive him. They wanted him gone, and they did that. And them same Romans that unalived him turned around 300 years later and knit him as a mascot in the middle of that demonic lie to like I said, to remix it and rinse what they had done. And they got the whole world worshiping the devil, thinking that they're doing it for love of Jesus. Ms. Michelle, the Anunnaki are absolutely responsible for the pyramids. In the fact of the matter, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, let me see if I can get to the verse. Hold on. Trying to see where he's, because he tells us he built the pyramids. He talks about going into the halls of Amenti and all of that stuff, but he actually says there's a line in here where he says, "Builded I the great pyramid." I'm trying to find it so I can read it to you. Hey, Valerie, welcome. Welcome, welcome. And honestly, we know for a fact, Miss Michelle, I don't have to find it. Like I say, if we get in here, there is, like I said, Thoth claims to have built the pyramid at Giza, but it only, if you use deductive reasoning, you kind of sort of have to know that that's the truth, because the pyramids at Giza and the pyramids at Chichen Itza, I can't say it, but you know, the Mayan pyramids, they are, the layout of those pyramids are identical down to within like a few inches of each other. The only difference is the pyramids in Giza are the conical above ground pyramids, and the Mayan pyramids are step pyramids, but the base foundations for both of them line up with the same exact constellations, have the same measurements, and all of that. And the sound stuff that happens, excuse me, on that step pyramid are super, super different. We got pyramids all over the United States covered up. There are pyramids all over the planet. A lot of them are covered up with grass and stuff now, so people don't know. But they line up with the stars in such a way that there's no way that humans just up and decided to make all of those things at random like that, so precisely with stones that weigh hundreds of tons, lined up in perfect symmetry, so tightly that you still can't put a credit card between them, with echo chambers and reverberation rejuvenation chambers and shafts of light, and lined up with the constellations. Humans were not that developed to have done all of that. So yeah, I firmly believe that the Anunnaki built the pyramids. No, we don't have to serve him. Again, you don't know what you're talking about, shamanic. Now you getting ready to get me a little heated and get up out of here. Because Yeshua didn't tell nobody to serve him. He told them he was not God. He even told Pontius Pilate that they tried to accuse him of being a God, but he's not a God. It's Paul, excuse me, religion sat there and told you that lie, that you got to serve him. He never said that. He said, "Obey me, follow me." And actually, he didn't even say that. That's what his daddy said. He said, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Follow him. This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Listen to him." Jesus said, Yeshua said, "Pick up your cot and follow me." Yeah. So he was telling us to obey him. He ain't say nothing about worshiping him. But people refuse to obey him because they'd rather obey Yahweh and the church fathers instead of what Yeshua actually told them to do. That's the part that people don't understand. And he told them straight up, "In that day, many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name and expel demons in your name and perform many powerful works in your name?' And yet I will say to them, 'I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of iniquity.'" He told them right in the Bible. He already knew that they was gonna twist what he did and turn around and do something else, and they gonna stand up in their spiritual arrogance and think that they could just do whatever they wanted to in the name of Jesus, and it was gonna be all right. And he told them straight up, that's not so. You're gonna find out in the end. No, you keep running behind that and doing what you want to do. You said when we talk about Jesus, what ethnicity would he be and would his mother have anything to do with it? When we talk about Yeshua, his ethnicity was Jewish, but he was not a religious Jew, or not a Jew by, he wasn't practicing the same sect of Judaism as the rest of the nation of Israel. Yeshua was an Edomite. They were descendants of Esau, and they were hated by Yahweh. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about the birth of Esau and Jacob. They were twins. And the scripture says, Esau have I hated, Jacob have I loved. And years later, when Yahweh was addressing the nation of Israel, he still hated the Edomites because they gave refuge to the descendants of Esau. They were dwellers up in the rock dweller, and they were known to be wise people, very spiritual people. It says it right there in the Bible. And he hated them because they didn't follow Yahweh. They were very wise and very spiritual, but they were separate. They did not worship Yahweh. And by religion, he was an Essene. They also didn't rock with Yahweh. They were Jews, but they ain't moved. They didn't fool with Yahweh. Now, as far as his mother, his mother was also an Essene mystic. Excuse me, as was Mary Magdalene, as was his grandmother. That part. You say your mama is pissed. You told her don't trust the Bible because man has touched it. Man didn't just touch it, honey. Man manufactured it. I'm not saying that these texts weren't taken from older texts, but the way they were put together, it was intentionally crafted in such a way to create the Christian narrative. All of these, well, no, not all of them. The Old Testament, those texts are thousands and thousands of years old. The New Testament, was all of the New Testament was written at some point between 60 AD and about 150 AD. Somewhere in there. And then they started tweaking them and tweaking them and tweaking them and tweaking them. But that was after, as they were ramping up and even like I said, they're pulling from some of those older texts. And in 325 AD, that's when they went and got the text in the New Testament from those letters to whatever, and all, so they say. And again, we don't even have the truth of that, because some people say that it isn't genuinely Paul that wrote those, but whoever it was, it's a unified writer that wrote most of the New Testament, and it's very clear that he had very little regard for what Yeshua was actually teaching. Because if you really read the New Testament and get off the Sunday school stuff and read the Bible for what it actually says, in the New Testament, Paul was basically telling the new Christians that they wasn't shit. Forget what you heard. Forget what Yeshua said. He made me the new big dog in town because I had this experience on the road to Damascus. And now I'm an apostle. And I'm telling you, this is the way we're moving forward. And this is the way it's going to be. F what you heard. This is the way we're moving forward now. That's the bulk of what the New Testament says. And the things that he set them up to do got them involved in black magic, spell casting, binding spells, ritual in worship of Yahweh in the name of so-called Jesus, but flying completely in the face of everything Yeshua stood for. Paul tells us, oh, it was such a good thing that Yeshua was willing to bear the curse of being hung on a tree for us. Because back in Deuteronomy, it said any man hung on a tree is cursed. So that's why they turned around and said that. But the fact of the matter is, they made a big stink about that and told his lie about the cross and all that because Constantine was a sun worshiper, and the symbol of sun worship is the cross. It's not physically possible to hang nobody from a cross for a crucifixion the way they describe it with the cross thing. They would have had to hang him from a stake, and that's the way they did criminals back then. Shamanic, you could stop the nonsense because if people understood how much Yeshua actually loved them, yes, they'd be ashamed, but they stop turning around saying things like you just said before about how we got to worship him and serve him, and we, regardless of whether whatever we call Yahweh, we still got to serve him. You still stuck on wanting so bad to put him in the middle of that lie. You're missing the point as well. But the reason I get up and speak 2 or 3 times a week the way I do is because I did understand the point, and my love for him makes me tell the truth, regardless of who don't like it, regardless of who want to come in here and troll and argue and try to divert, to tell the people the truth of what Yeshua was talking about and what he was really saying so that they can hopefully understand the truth and free themselves from the lie that are the Abrahamic religions, all of them. Hey, Moon Witch, welcome in. It said Pharaoh Akhenaten introduced a period of Atonism, a religion centered on the worship of the Aten, yeah, as a supreme soul god. But again, you got to remember, a lot of the pharaohs were also the Anunnaki. Marduk became Amun Ra. When we say Amen at the end of a prayer, that's a binding spell. He was rerouting all prayers, regardless of who people claimed, whether they were still worshiping Anana or Sekhmet or Bastet or any of the rest of them, by forcing people to end their prayers with Amen. He was rerouting all prayers back to him and binding people. Look it up. I'm not just making this stuff up. You wanted to die exploring the pyramids? Oh Lord, I don't want to explore them, but I had. You know what I used to tell my kids? If I hadn't gotten to the Valley of the Kings before I leave this planet, that I wanted to be cremated and scattered in the Valley of the Kings, and I do. I still do, but I'm gonna get there before I go. You know. Stop it, Shamani. We struggling in our faith, but God still takes us up as his children. That's some Christian bullshit you spouting. No, he don't. Yahweh ain't never took nobody nowhere. And Paul told us that in the Bible. I'm going to read you that part. Hebrews chapter 11. We're going to get there. He does this long dissertation about faith. Hold on. In Hebrews chapter 11, he talks about what faith is. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For by it the people of old received their commendation. By faith we understand that the universe was created and created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. Again, by faith, but that ain't what the ancient texts say, right? But he goes on ranting about what Abel did and this and that, Abraham, blah, blah, blah. It said they all died in faith, not having the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. So all of these faithful people, it says, it keeps saying that it goes on and on and on and on. And at the end of that chapter, when it mentions all these faithful people that was mentioned in the Bible, in verse, hold on, in verse 39 and 40, and all these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God or the Elohim had provided something better for us, that apart from us, they should not be made perfect. So they sell you to heaven lie, even though they acknowledge right here in the scriptures that not one of the faithful men and women of old that's mentioned in this book, not one of them ever received their promises. So Yahweh straight up lied to these people, and they turn around and brag about it in Hebrews that he never kept his promises, and yet we still supposed to serve him. It reminds me excuse me, of what he said did in Amos and Obadiah, in the last part of Amos, that whole chapter of Amos. He busy laying down curses. At first, he started out cursing the surrounding neighbors, and then the Edomites, and then the this. But then he got right down in Israel's behind too, and told them, I sent you plagues and this and that, and still you did not turn to me. And I dried up your crops, and I did this and I did that, and I caused y'all to have to go into famine and go into the neighboring towns, and still you did not turn to me. And then he started blowing so hard, he started bragging about how nasty he did them when they came out of Egypt. I led you around in the desert for 40 years and still you did not return to me. Why the hell would anybody turn to Yahweh? He led them on a 40-year trip, lost through the desert, a trip that shouldn't have took them no more than 11 weeks to get to the land of Canaan, a land that he had promised them, but never bothered to get the occupants out of it. It was full of Nephilim, them raggedy, cannibalistic giants. That's what he delivered the nation of Israel to. The land of Canaan was still crawling with Nephilim, and they were known to not only ate up all the animals and all the vegetation, they also ate humans. And that's what Yahweh told them, I done promised you the land if you want it. There it is. After he had been promised it to him and led him around for 40 years till damn near everybody he had made that promise to died, including the man who had put his life on the line to go get the nation of Israel out of Egypt, because Israel was not worshiping Yahweh when they was in Egypt. They were not. Yahweh, after he came out of exile, he did not have a land and he did not have a people. So he went back to revitalize or dig up that old pact that he had made with Abraham. And Abraham wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed to continue to agree worshiping him. He lied to Abraham, promised him a son in his old age. It took him 24 years to give Abraham a son. And when he finally gave him a son and the son grew up, first thing he did was say, prove your loyalty to me. Take him up on the mountaintop and cut his throat. Sacrifice him to me. What kind of monster is that y'all are busy steadily encouraging people to worship that? Ew. He's not a faithful being. He's violent and he's bloodthirsty. We read a few weeks ago in First and Second Kings, when the nation of Israel went in to make that offering to him, they slaughtered 6 animals in the temple, and they had a bloodbath, just flinging blood on the altar and putting the fat over the shoulders and the fatty part. And Yahweh came down in that pillar of smoke and sucked up all of that, ate the fatty pieces and the liver and all of that off of the altar right there in front of the people. And when Aaron's sons came through to clear the air with incense after having slaughtered them things and flung all that warm blood all over the temple, when they came through with the incense burners to clear the air, it enraged Yahweh so much so that he struck both of those men down dead right in front of their father. And they were priests serving in the temple. And Moses told them, don't react. Don't mess your hair up. Don't rip your clothes like they would normally have done in grief. Don't show no emotion or he'll unalive you too. Who would keep serving a God like that? Yahweh don't love nobody. Oh, you talking about Caesar Borgia? Yeah. He was trying to become a pharaoh and they wasn't having it. So he basically I forgot whose nephew or son he was, but yeah, they put him up to become the whitewashed vision of Yeshua. The image that we see that everybody attributes to being quote unquote Jesus, that's Caesar Borgia. They got the bust in the museum in England, but that's not Jesus. Hey, Kalina Emery's, how are you? Yeah. You said his skin color? I mean, considering the fact that he was an Edomite, he was probably pretty dark. The scriptures describe him as having hair like wool and skin like bronze. So he definitely was not no light skinned ginger with brownish, bluish eyes or whatever they shoot. Sometimes he show up with brown eyes, sometimes he show up with blue eyes in the artwork, but none of that could have been real. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Yeah. But here's the thing, in the Bible, they whitewashed everything because if you allow people to actually know that just about all of the characters in the Bible was black, then that whole slavery thing that they did and the subjugation around the planet, when the ones that was on the land grab in the name of religion. See, you got to understand your history. They taught us about the holy wars, but they glossed over it. People do not understand what that was really about. After Constantine established Christianity as a religion, made it the official religion, they went out on a crusade supposedly to convert people to the religion, but that was disguised as a land grab for the church. They unalived 80 million people around the planet to establish Christianity as a religion. And my thing was, if all y'all wanted to do was establish the religion, why did you have to take their land too? That was the lie. That was the excuse that Constantine did to expand the Roman Empire. He married church and state, and the Roman Catholic Church became the seat of the Roman Empire. And they turned around and used that power grab and basically told people, you will accept this religion or you'll die where you stand. And that's the reason why Christianity swept around the world. But when you do that, if you're going to show up in all of these brown people's lands and tell them that this is the religion, this is the only religion that you can have, this is the truth, they need to make God look like them. They can't show up with a Bible that describes and shows, excuse me, beings that look like me and I look like me, and then turn around and tell me God look like them and expect people ain't going for that. So they had to get their mascot, Caesar Borgia. They put him up to the world as this newfangled Jesus. But didn't y'all see it was something recently? I think was it Putin or somebody over there recently they released like a lot of the old ancient artworks that they had been holding on to, and it clearly shows you the older depictions of the sacred paintings and stuff. Mary was black, Jesus was black, all the apostles was black, because the original Jews was black. The Jews we see today in Israel are not Jews. They not. They are interlopers. The Jews left Israel because Jesus told them when they saw certain things to head to the highlands, and a lot of them they immigrated, they fled into other parts of Africa. In Ethiopia today, it's a sect of them ancient Jews that still have to do the thing with the hair, and they got the blue and white player cloths, and they have some of the original scrolls today. Ethiopia. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to get my hydrogen water on. As far as the DNA, honestly, hey Naj, how are you? One of the things that gets me, what was that book? Oh, the Da Vinci Code. Now I know that's supposedly fiction, but Brother Man was on to something. You know what I'm saying? People don't want to understand that Yeshua's bloodline is still on the planet, but it is. In many parts of the world, it's understood or accepted that Yeshua did not die in the so-called crucifixion. Again, if you read the Bible as it is, instead of allowing the church to put a spin on it, the herbs that they took into the tomb after he was supposedly gone were not embalming herbs, they were healing herbs. That part. They didn't break his legs as would have normally been the custom at the end of that type of impaling. And they had to hurry up and get him off the tree before sunset because it was a Sabbath and didn't, like I said, Deuteronomy already told us any man hung from a tree is cursed, and any man left hanging from a tree after sunset, the land is cursed too. So they had to hurry up and get him down off of that tree, and they laid him in the tomb, and the women went in with the healing herbs intended to his body. But here's the thing, as a high yogi that's been on his spiritual path for 18 years, when he see, that's the part they forget to leave out too in the scriptures. He left Jerusalem at the age of 12, and Christianity don't know what he was doing for them other 18 years. But it's people in the other parts of the world, in the brown countries of the world, that know exactly what he was doing. It said that he went to Egypt. He was with the Copts for a while, COPT, the Coptics, and then he went into Tibet, went studied with the monks there. He went into India, studied under Babaji there. He came back into Africa and went through the grand tour of the pyramids and did all of his 7 initiations, ending up with the Grand Pyramid in Giza, which is Thoth's pyramid, where he received his sabu. In the Egyptian artwork, we see the sabu as that headband with the cobra sticking out of it. In European artwork, it shows up as the halo of light around their head, but it is the symbol of an enlightened being that has received all 7 initiations. He became Christos. He ain't Jesus Christ just because people think that's his name. Jesus wasn't his name, and Christos wasn't his last name. That is a title to describe an ascended being. He accepted his Christos. There have been plenty of other Christos on the planet too. He was just the latest one, and he was martyred for it. He became Christos, in my opinion, when he did his initiation fast in the wilderness. When he came back into Jerusalem, the first thing he did was got baptized. That's when the Holy Spirit, it says, descended in the form of a dove, and the people heard from the heavens, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Listen to him," or "I'm well pleased," whatever it said in the first instance. And at that point, after he got baptized, he went into the wilderness for 40 days, and Satan, Yahweh, Enlil taunted him. But when he came out of his initiation fast, because 40 days in the wilderness was a fast, 40 is Lord Enki's number. So that 40-day fast was an initiation under Lord Enki. When he came out of that, during that fast, he became Christos. And that's when he came out healing and teaching and performing miracles and all the rest of that. There's no record of him performing miracles nowhere before he came out of the wilderness. That happened afterwards. Hey, Shawanda Sheree. You said you get the impression listening to you that the bronze hair is Amen. No. It honestly, I mean, somebody was asking about Yeshua's lineage and what his DNA would have been like, and maybe his skin color. And I was saying that the scriptures describe his skin as being bronze and his hair as being like wool. Well, The light wool part kind of put him over here on this spectrum, and a little bronzy, you know what I'm saying? But Amen is just that like I said, that's the binding spell. That's some of that Christian voodoo shit that they do. And again, those who get offended when I say that, think about the crucifixion story and the Easter story. I already told you, Deuteronomy told you that anybody hung from a tree is cursed. So they hung him from a tree. And then they turned around, even after he come off the tree, or before they hung him on the tree, the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, excuse me, the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, and Luke tell you before they hung him on the tree that he sat down to the Passover meal with his disciples because he was a Jew. He had to do the things that they did. Like I say, he was an Edomite, so he didn't really worship Yahweh. But as a Jew, he would have still been bound to keep the Jewish holy days. So he was celebrating or taking the Passover meal with the other Jews. And then, according to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, which again, those gospels were not written until 60 to 110 years AD, 60 to 110. Though Matthew, Mark, whoever wrote them gospels did not walk with Yeshua. Most of his disciples was killed before he was, most of them, and the rest of them was killed in a few years after that, including his brothers. But you say you're on your way out. All right, have a good weekend, CC. Hey, I ain't far behind either. I got to go in a minute too. But as far as the Passover, after the Passover meal, according to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they say he told them to start this new thing: eat of my flesh and drink of my blood, with the wine and the unleavened bread and all the rest of that stuff. And one of them in that gospel, I think it was Luke, said, keep doing this in remembrance of me. Now, interestingly enough, the Gospel of John does not mention that at all. It mentions the Passover meal, and it said after the Passover meal, he started washing their feet. It completely ignored that whole eat of my flesh, drink of my blood, and all the rest of that stuff. That is satanic, y'all. And we accepted it hook, line, and sinker with no question. Carnism is one of the tenets of Satanism. Why would Yeshua tell anybody to drink wine that represents drinking his blood when the nation of Israel was told that consuming blood was a sin, that all blood should be poured out to Yahweh? But Yeshua gonna turn around and tell them to drink his blood? And who in the right mind would ever tell anybody to do something that represents eating human flesh? But people get so caught up in religious fervor that we read that mess every day. And the priests and the pastors have convinced people that that was a cool thing to put in there, and we're supposed to do that. And good Catholics do it sometimes every week. So they make sure they keep that curse alive over Yeshua. And by them participating in it, they're cursing themselves and their lineage too and don't know it. But they are, because they're keeping themselves stuck in blindness. And then at the end of all of that, every year we celebrate that, him coming into town. They got was it Palm Sunday the week before? And then they turn around and the following week they have Good Friday, which is supposedly representing the time that he would have been had to walk up and carry the cross up to Calvary and all of that good stuff. And then on Sunday they celebrate the fact that he died, and then the following day they have Resurrection Monday. Make a whole celebration out of the murder of a great teacher and ascended master, and even wear the depictions of the murder weapon, the cross, on their necks, in their ears, on their bumpers, on their cars, on the top of their churches, and sometimes even have his body splayed out on the cross, all broken with the crown of thorns and the whole nine. Y'all don't understand that that is black magic, binding spells, topped off with a lovely fair dose of paganism on the other end of it too, because the following day they turn around after that, Easter Sunday, ain't got nothing to do with his resurrection story. That is quite literally a fertility festival and ritual to Onana and Astara. No, I'm sorry, Diana and Astara, but still, you could still put them on. But it's a fertility ritual. What do a rabbit laying chicken eggs have to do with supposedly the savior of humanity's death and resurrection? Nothing whatsoever. It's a fertility ritual. And people accept that and get angry when you try to tell them something different. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It is evil. Like I said, excuse me. You said even when you were deep into Christianity, you felt like the crucifixion was evil. Yes, because the thing is, they're quick to say in the scriptures, our ways are not his ways and our thoughts are not his thoughts. But our thoughts should be at least, like I said, that should mean that his thoughts should be even loftier than ours. And if it don't make no sense to you as a parent, how and why you would demand that your child lay down their life to cover somebody else's mistakes, if you're a sinful being less than, like they tell you, sinful and dirty and all the rest of that, if you can't see the logic in demanding that your child who ain't did nothing wrong die for somebody else's mistakes, why in the world does it make sense to anyone to say that that's just and right for Yahweh to do that? But if you go back and read through the Bible of how many times Yahweh has endorsed unfair death of his so-called servants, then it starts to make sense. Again, you gave Abraham a child in his old age and then told him to go cut that man's throat. Job was your faithful servant. The richest man in the land had done no wrong. And just for shits and giggles, you allowed everything to be stripped from that man, including killing 10 of his children. Overnight, all 10 of his children were killed overnight. That's the kind of mess that Yahweh endorses. Why do people still want to serve him or feel like we should? He behaved so poorly that the nation of Israel stopped worshiping him. In the Abraham days, they stopped worshiping him because Yahweh was not fulfilling his promises. They did all of that fighting and feuding and everything else, and they kept going from bad to worse. And every time he get mad at them, he start throwing curses at them and bringing raining plagues down on them. And at some point, they went back to worshiping Asherah. And of course, the Bible scholars that were supposedly putting that together tell everybody how wrong and sinful it was that they went back to worshiping the pagans and what's the difference in a pagan god and Yahweh? The fact that the Christian scholar said that it was pagan, but there's no more misogynistic pagan mess nowhere than Yahweh. That's worship of Pa. And he damn near cut females out of everything that's in the Bible, including to declare that it was all right for them to go into enemy lands, kill all the males, and rape and plunder the women at will. That's in the Bible, y'all. I hope y'all YouTube don't decide to censor me for that, for using that word, but it's the truth. Right there in the scriptures, they were instructed to unalive all of the men, and they could take the women and violate them at will and forcibly marry them if they wanted to, or unalive them when they was done with them. Who in their right mind would want to serve a being that endorses all of that? And yet today, when you try to tell Christians that, they'll tell you how horribly wrong you are, how misguided you are, and how evil you are, and they're going to pray for you and all the rest of that. Don't pray for me. Number one, it ain't going to help. Hebrews done already told you none of these people in the Bible got their promises answered. Why you think you're going to get yours fulfilled, I don't know. Because they done sold them the heaven lie. Yeshua told you the kingdom of heaven is within you. That's the part that gets me. They claim that they do everything they do in Christianity for love of Yeshua, but yet they ain't listen to nothing he said. Nothing. He told them they was worshiping the devil. You got the wrong Elohim. Stop doing that. He's the devil. They didn't listen to him. He told them the kingdom of heaven is within you. It ain't up there, it ain't out there, it's within you. He told them, my father is not the father that you worship. And I'm telling you, my father is love. They didn't listen to him. He told them, greater things have I done than I have done, will you do? So he was explaining to them, you think that these miracles and all this stuff that I'm doing is so great. I'm only doing this to show you what your potential is. If you follow me, if you reach this path of ascension, if you do the things that I have done, not only will you be able to do what I've done, you'll do more besides. Nobody believes that though. They so busy oohing and ahhing over the things that he showed them, even though he straight up told them, basically, I became Christos in this lifetime. And guess what? If you actually listen to what I'm telling you to do and set out on your path, you can become Christos too. Oh, that's blasphemy. I can't be God. He never told nobody he was a God. That's another lie that the church put up there. Even the Jews tried to say that. That's the main reason. That's the lie and the excuse that they used to deliver him to the Romans to be unalive. And Pontius Pilate questioned him at length, interrogated him. He said, "Oh, so you say you the king of the Jews?" Because he was like, if you say you a king or God or whatever, then you usurping my power, then that give me the authority to unalive you. By the time Pilate finished questioning him, he told the Jews, I can find no fault in this man. Why don't I release him to you? And they was adamant. They insisted they would rather have the murderer or the thief released to them than this man. No, you gonna unalive him for us. And that's what happened. But people are still so clinging to this religion and doggedly insistent that they need to continue worshiping this monster. But like Brother Paul Wallace said, I think it was in the Eden Conspiracy, one of those books that he was talking about the things that Yahweh does, but he said worshiping a monster makes monsters out of us. If you worship a bloodthirsty, dishonest, misogynistic God, then you kind of sort of start justifying the things that he does. And then it ain't long. If you can justify him doing it, then guess what? It won't be long for you'll turn around and justify you doing it too. Why do you think it's okay for all of these countries around the world to get these military forces together? Oh, we got to keep solidarity. We got to provide this. We got to protect. And all they got to do is stir up some kind of a conflict and put fear in people, and people will line up and agree to whatever tax hikes and everything else that they need to protect the country. But the scriptures say thou shalt not kill. That is one of the 10 commandments. It didn't say thou shalt not kill only until it displeases one of your rulers. Then it's okay for a paycheck to go over and kill innocent people. That's not what that scripture says. It says thou shalt not kill. But our governmental authorities have told us it's all right for us to bypass our scriptural instructions because Yahweh is inconsistent like that, and Yahweh ain't nothing but murder, death, kill. So it becomes okay. We whitewash that in our minds, so much so that the priests and the Pope come out and bless the ships and the guns and the nuclear launchers, the rockets and all of that. When they get ready to go into war, the priests show up to bless the implements of war. Worshiping a monster makes monsters out of us. Yo, I could go on, but I got to get up out of here. So I do thank you for hanging out with me tonight. And I am going to tuck it in, tuck it in. Yeah, Shawanda. It's, look, that's the part that I don't understand why people don't understand. They don't stop and think about it. The scriptures say the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. And that's the truth. Because whether you bend your knee to Jehovah, or you bend your knee to Yahweh, or you bend your knee to Allah, At the end of the day, that's all the same individual. I don't care how much you want to argue for your limitations. If you do your homework, you'll find out it all go back to the same department. So, in truth, that scripture is an extreme truth. The whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. 75% of this planet bows their knee to Yahweh. Why don't we have no peace on this planet? Because Yahweh ain't about peace. If he was the true God, if we were supposed to be worshiping him and worshiping him was such a good thing, we would have peace and prosperity. We don't have no peace because Yahweh ain't about peace. But look at the flip side of it. The Inkyite philosophies, they're not religions, but they are philosophies that survived on this planet, are things like Buddhism, Jainism, Taoism, Sikhism. Now think about what the world would be like if 75% of the planet was Buddhist or Sikh. We would have peace. We would not have children going to bed hungry every night that don't wake up because they've been hungry for so many days that their bodies cannot take it anymore. Part of the tenets of Buddhism is to kind of sort of be your brother's keeper. That part. Do the math. Like I say, the math don't math when you look at what serving Yahweh for 2,500 years has brought to this planet. It just doesn't add up. Meanwhile, that other pocket of the world, again, I get it. Buddhist, Taoist, Jainist, whatever parts of the world where those religions are prevalent, there is poverty in those countries. But a lot of us, because the world powers have cut them away from a lot of resources and things, they don't have the juice to play in that bloodbath market that is the national powers. But that doesn't mean that that's their fault. Like I say, they're not really thriving like they should because Yahweh's land and peoples is thriving. But it could be dramatically different. That's all I'm saying. Glove 100, you are so very welcome. You are very, very welcome. I am trying to think. I missed going on doing tarot last night on the other channel, so I might do a little tarot tomorrow, but I'll probably see you guys on Sunday night here on Modern Mystic Messages. So I definitely thank you for joining me, and hopefully I may try to get on a little bit earlier for some folks in different time zones so that I will have a little more time. We'll have to see how Sunday goes, but again, set for notifications so that we can have a good conversation. I'm gonna get back in here and see if I can find what I was looking for in the lost book so I can share that. And I got a other couple of videos that I wanted to go through to bring some information to us. So we'll have some stuff to talk about. I will. I'm going to get some rest tonight. Yep, absolutely. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me tonight, y'all. So peace and blessings to you, soul family. I love you. Until next time, namaste.